Shutterstock Music.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Black College Experience. I am one half of your Black College Experience team, Derek Thomas, here in Baton Rouge, and I have with me in Atlanta the founder of Black College Experience, Keisha Kelly. What's going on, Kels?
We are at the weekend, or the ending of a great weekend at HBCU football, HBCU sports in general. It's a whole lot that went on, and we are at the top of the week getting ready for Bayou Classic. It's coming, yes. And the crowd goes, wow.
Yes, indeed. And like you call it, the granddaddy is here.
We are so ready. It's here. It seems like it got here fast. It seems like the season went fast.
It
but
did.
Nevertheless, we're super excited.
It doesn't even seem like football season is about to end, but it is.
It does not.
Champions will be crowned. Well, champion has been crowned in the Meac. Of course, we're going to talk about that. We had a lot of action on the gridiron, on the hardwood, on the volleyball court. You know what I'm saying? It's just a great time for HBCU sports football. Definitely, it's just an amazing week of football. And then next week, like we talked about, the Bayou Classic, Black College Experience would be in the building and on the field. No good sausage for me this year. No press box. We're gonna be on the field, so I can't wait, Kels.
I am. I'm very excited about this year. This is just a little close. It's closer to the action. Very excited to see what's gonna happen this year with both Southern and Grambling.
Yes, it's been a long season. I mean, everybody figured that Grambling would rule the SWAC again, the WAC West again. But your Jaguars, well, initially Prairie View, changed the game on that. But then your Jaguars took control. But let's go ahead and get this started talking about this weekend's games in the SWAC. Starting out first, a game that I wish I could skip over because it involves my Delta Devils taking another whooping this year. Alabama A&M, the Bulldogs, whooped up on my Delta Devils 49-14. So, we do have one game left, I think, against Alabama State, Turkey Day Classic. So maybe we can make some noise also on Thanksgiving weekend. So I can't wait to see how we end the season. Up next, Kels, Arkansas Pine Bluff defeated Texas Southern in 15-10. I call this game the battle for the bottom in the SWAC West, and that will go to Texas Southern as Arkansas Pine Bluff defeats the Texas Southern Tigers. Up next, and I've been making a joke about this game, Prairie View finally woke up from that beatdown the Jaguars gave them, and they put up 66 points on Alabama State, defeating the Hornets 66-13. Jalen Morton went off. I'm talking, he scored touchdowns through the air, touchdowns on the ground. He was back to his form early in the season before he met up with your Jaguars, Kels. What do you think about Prairie View's offensive output against Alabama State?
I think that if they had done that earlier on in the season, they would have definitely been a contender at this point. The fact that the Jaguars shut them out 38-0, says a lot. And that's the Jaguars coming off a 20-3 loss, homecoming after a bye week from Alcorn. So, to say that just to shut them out like that was pretty impressive. But for them to turn around at the end of the season and do this, they just kind of set you up for what they're going to be preparing to do next year. So it'll be exciting to see what they do next year, next season. Also, looking at Valley and looking at, Alabama A&M, they ended their season on a strong note.
Right.
I just think that the SWAC East is going to get some competition, but I mean we can't deny Alcorn, our 5-time SWAC East champions. So,
Well, before we went on off, I'm going to talk about that game. Jalen Morton accounted for 6 touchdowns, passing for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns while rushing for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was Morton's second 6-touchdown game of the season. DeWanya Tucker also ran for 19 carries for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. He now has ran for 1,030 yards, and he's the first Prairie View running back to run for over 1,000 yards since Jonte Hebert in 2014. So, what if Prairie View could have continued this offensive output that they started with in 2018 and then finally woke up from the slumber that the Jaguar defense put them in to just, we're back, but you waited till the end of the season to come back? I mean, that's football. I mean, your Jaguars handled business, and I was just wondering what happened to Prairie View for all of 2018 after that Jaguar beatdown.
After that, I think they just kind of went into a situation where they were. I think it was kind of shocked because everybody, including myself, I think everybody was riding on the fact that Prairie View was going to be a team. They were going to be a contender. Yes. They were going to be better. Being the fact that they had Dooley, and after they won to Grambling, it was kind of like they just kind of slipped into a coma, and they didn't do anything basically since.
I got beat into a coma. I mean,
yep.
Your Jaguars did the duty, but now it's for our big game in the SWAC, the Soul Bowl, the game that will decide the SWAC East champion. A game that I grew up going to as a kid. I just remember my first game going to see Jack State play versus Alcorn. And Jack State won that game. But Jackson State came into this game. If they could have beaten Alcorn, they would have claimed the SWAC East crown. What a turnaround it would have been for the Tigers. After the tumultuous season they had, getting their coach fired after the loss to Jaguars, and then to be on a 2-game win streak with a 3rd straight win, clinching the SWAC East title. But standing in their way, their Mississippi rival, the Alcorn State Braves, a team I was born to hate. And Alcorn has been a beast of these. Like you said, they are now the 5-time SWAC East champs. And we know how Alcorn does. You can't make them be quiet. And Jackson State had a chance to make the Alcorn fans be quiet, to silence them. Unfortunately, the Braves reigned supreme, defeating Jackson State. What's his final score? 24-3. It was a dominant second half secured by the Alcorn defense. The Braves had a 47-yard pass to freshman Juwan Anthony. Alcorn put an exclamation point on the game with a 31-yard pick six by junior Thomas Wilson. Noah Johnson threw for 177 yards and a touchdown. Anthony was the top target with 4 catches for 67 yards. Deshaun Water rushed for a game-high 124 yards, and P.J. Simmons ran for 67 yards and a score. So Alcorn is once again, like I said, the beast of the East, and we have my line brother on the phone on with us, Patrick Perry. PP, what do you think about Alcorn winning their 5th consecutive SWAC East crown? And who do you think is going to be the next team to possibly challenge Alcorn? Because Kels alliterated earlier that next year there's going to be some competition in the SWAC East.
Oh, yeah. Well, as far as the game is concerned, I think a lot of people, everybody got fooled by that little 2-game winning streak by Jackson State, but I didn't. They beat some reality into Jackson State, let them know where their offense is at. I mean, their defense is championship level, but their offense is still, whoever the new coach is going to be, he'll install all that. But as far as the East is concerned, like look at Alabama A&M is not too far off. Like they 6-5. I mean, they finished their season 6-5. Unfortunately,
Right.
against us,
and that's who I think I would choose as as far as a East contender. This was 2018. I guess 2016, 17, we had the same conversation, and everybody laughed at me. And I'm like, okay, just give it a season or two. They got a young team, so I think that you can definitely see the competition. I really, at this point with Jackson State, I can't really gauge what Jackson State's going to do from this point. I can't even take.
Right, and then like PP said, we're still waiting to see who Jackson State will hire as his new head coach. I can't wait to find out who will be the new head coach at Jackson State. It's a lot of rumors going around. Former Jackson State Tigers who have been successful at stops as offensive coordinators. I was told a potential former ACC head coach would possibly be interested in the position, but I'm going to wait until I get confirmation from my source before I say that name, because I don't want to say nothing to someone. So, but Derek said this, I'm gonna wait. Be a good media journalist and find out first from my source if this person is indeed interested in the Jackson State Tigers head coaching position. But whoever it is, they're going to be coming to the capital city, my hometown, with a wealth of resources and a historic program to try to knock Alcorn back to where I remember them being, beneath Jackson State. And I know if I got Braves listening to them, they were going to be like, Derek, you went to Valley. So what? I grew up a Tiger, so don't want y'all Braves to win no more. But with this win, if we want to go to the SWAC championship game, we got to go to Lorman. And Kels, you said it in your post, this is the first SWAC institution to host the SWAC football championship on their campus. So,
absolutely, first time that this actually happens. I think a lot of people, I think in actuality it's a good thing because the money comes back into the school, so it goes back into your conference. So I think that's a good thing. But on the other side, we're just like, no, not there. Just we want it to be anywhere but there.
Well, and then
we're like, all right.
And then what Alcorn did, what they did for this game when their stadium was capacity, they did allow people to sit on their football parade. I guess what they call that, parade grounds or whatever. I don't necessarily know what they call that area. The grassy knoll behind the end zone. They allow people to pay $20 to sit and watch the game, and I think that's a possibility. Let's say if the stadium is sold out, if Alcorn is able to possibly have temporary seating in those areas, like you said, this is going to benefit Alcorn because this money is going to go back into Alcorn, back into the conference. And I'm not sure how the SWAC disperses money like that, but I have to find out.
It's right now. It's said that it'll go to the schools that actually host it. Yeah, so most of it, I guess, like it's going to Alcorn, which it's fair because you got the first position, you got the first seed, you did the most work, you had the best record, so I can see that. So I think in hindsight, and even if you got to sit on the grass, you just bring a lawn chair, no problem. Yeah. If you want somewhere to sit, I'm not going to do it, but still, for other people that want to do what you want to sit on, I'm not going to do it. But for anybody that wants to do it, I think it'll be a great atmosphere. It's whoever goes on to play, it's going to be, it's going to be a lot.
And I'm going to request media credentials to the game because if I'm accepted to go, hopefully my good buddy Robbie will grant my request. This will be my first time going back to Alcorn since Lenore Artillery broke the rushing record against the Braves a few years ago. So I'm looking forward to possibly seeing this SWAC championship game in person. My first time ever with going to a SWAC championship game. So it will be a feat for me to see this with my own eyes, the first ever SWAC championship game on the campus of Alcorn. And I just can't wait to see who they play. But before we jump into volleyball, we know the two teams they could potentially play. Your Jaguars and the Grambling State Tigers in the Granddaddy, the Bayou Classic. We're going to preview this game. Your Jaguars haven't beaten Grambling in about, 3 years, Kels? Is it 3 to 4 years since they've beaten Grambling?
About 4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Coach Odom is ready to get that Grambling Tiger off of his back. And this is the year for Coach Odom to do that. Coach Five's Grambling Tigers team have fought back, after an early loss to Prairie View. They lost to Alcorn early in the season. They almost lost to Arkansas Pine Bluff. Almost let us upset them on homecoming, PP. But those Grambling Tigers have been fighting back like a champion should. And now they are in position to head to another SWAC championship game, which if I had to put money on this game, I'm not betting on Grambling. I'm Southern has the juice. I watched Juice last night, y'all. And if you don't know what juice is, you need to go catch up on your movie history. Southern has the juice in the SWAC West. And I just think Coach Dawson Odom, with their quarterback, Ladarius Skelton, has unleashed him on the running game. And his last game, he showed you he could pass. So he's a true dual threat quarterback that I think Grambling will have trouble stopping. Kels, what you think?
And I think that's one of the things. That's the run they won't be able to control. Now, on the defensive side, their defense is okay. It's just their offense that Grambling is really not, is not really in control of. And I think they won't be able to contain it. They won't be able to stop it. So, you can look at a game getting away early in the half, but, again, we know this is just like any other rivalry. Grambling wants to go to SWAC championship. Southern wants to go to SWAC championship. So we know they could have the worst game ever in any other game and end up having the best game on Saturday. Southern, same way. But, it's just like I said, it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. We didn't start on the best note, but we came into the game. So we just want to see what exactly is going to happen. Let's take a commercial break and come back to this.
All right, we'll be right back in 31 seconds with more Black College Experience.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's going to happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
All right, we're back with more Black College Experience, and we're previewing the Bayou Classic between the Southern University Jaguars and the Grambling State University Tigers. The Granddaddy, a heated rivalry game that your Jaguars, Kells, has the most wins. Y'all also won the very first Bayou Classic, but Coach Odom hasn't fared so well like we talked about earlier, but this is his year to, beat Grambling, go play for a SWAC championship against Alcorn and Lorman, and we're talking about previewing the Bayou Classic. PP, what do you think about Southern versus Grambling this year?
I don't think it's not going to be close. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I mean, at this point, we had the whole season to see what Grambling's quarterback situation is going to be like. I mean, it looks like, he looks okay at times, but, they're showing you exactly what they are like. Barely beating UAPB, barely beating Valley, still won that game, and struggled against PV, losing to them. Alcorn beat them, so Southern it seems like they're clicking at the right time. So I'd probably be at least 3 touchdowns if you just ask me right now, would it be? I think they're going to give you by at least 3 touchdowns.
Kel says something that you have to allude to. This is a rivalry game, and while you can look at Grambling's defense being leaky against Arkansas Pine Bluff and leaky against our Delta Devils, teams that do not have the offensive firepower that Southern have, and they were able to score at Grambling and have a chance to send the Tigers crying, and you have Southern, an offensive juggernaut now behind Ladarius Skelton. He has breathed life into that Jaguar program, and Southern had the weapons. They had the skilled positions available to execute the offense. Unfortunately, John Lampley and Bubba McDaniel were not able to execute the offense at a high level like Skelton has. But, it's a rivalry game. Grambling is going to play their hardest. Fobbs is going to come into this game. He doesn't want to lose to Southern. He's a Grambling Tiger. He's played in this game as a player. He's coached it as a head coach. Those games against Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Valley are going to be thrown out. And Southern is going to have to get the Grambling Tiger off their back. And until they do that, I will not say that it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think it's going to be decided by whoever has the least amount of turnovers. We know Grambling's quarterbacks have a knack for throwing interceptions. Skelton has not thrown a lot of interceptions, but Grambling does have a tough defense when they are playing at a high level. They haven't been playing at a high level, but this game they will be, I feel. Like Kel says, rivalry game, records out the window. It's time to put your chips all in, and I think that's what is going to happen. It's going to be a close game, and I can't wait to see what happens, who's holding that trophy up. Am I going to be taking a picture of Kel's celebrating her Jaguars as they're hosting the Bayou Classic trophy? What to say to that, Kels?
I already told you, Patrick. I told Derek I was going to be in the team picture. That's what y'all don't know. I'm going to be on the front of the Advocate in the team picture. So they'll be like, "Ma'am, no, this is for the team. I'm gonna be in the team picture when we win." Is what I just want to assume. I do again.
If Willie can get you in that team picture, you gonna be in that team picture with your Black College Experience shirt on.
Exactly, but I do again. I think it's gonna be a good game now. If Patrick said 2 or 3 touchdowns, I'm just gonna go with Patrick with 2 or 3 touchdowns. Now I'm just gonna go with what he said because he's been right on the pick'ems too many times. So I'm just go with what he say.
Remember that Jackson State and Alcorn was a rivalry game as well, and
it was. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Jackson State is not at the level of Southern or Grambling when it comes to offensive firepower. Even though Grambling has struggled some in this game, they still have weapons that have been part of a winning culture. Jackson State hasn't. You know what I'm saying? Grambling is full of juniors and seniors. Jackson State is a team full of freshmen and sophomores and juniors and seniors who don't have a culture of winning. Grambling does, and that's going to make a difference in this game. They're not used to losing to Southern. In their minds, Southern's not going to beat them, but I think Southern's going to win this game. I don't care what they say in their mind. Southern University, it's their time. It's their time. So, done with football. Kel, you have any more parting tidbits about the Bayou Classic?
I do not.
All right. So now jumping over to the hardwood for volleyball. Alabama State has won another SWAC championship in women's volleyball. It was an all-Bama SWAC championship match. And in hard-fought four-set affair, Alabama State bested in-state rival and top seed Alabama A&M to win the 2018 SWAC Athletic Conference, Southwest Athletic Conference Women's Volleyball Championship. Alabama State won the first 2 sets by scores of 25-13 and 25-15. Alabama A&M set 3, 25-22, but the Hornets rebounded to claim their 3rd straight championship and 5th in the last 6 years with a 25-19 set 4 win. So a stalemate initiative by Candace Marsh cross-court smash keyed a frame, turning run for Lady Hornets. So we want to congratulate Alabama State on just showing their sheer dominance in the sport of women's volleyball. Because women's volleyball, they have opportunities to play pro. So, I'm pretty sure these pro teams overseas or these professional teams that are popping up around the United States and other countries are going to be looking at a team that has won 3 straight and 5 championships in the last 6 years. So kudos to the Lady Hornets. This is one of the reasons why Alabama State wins the Commissioner's Cup every year, Kels, because they win at the sports that may not be revenue sports, but they matter. What do you think about Alabama State winning its 3rd straight women's volleyball championship?
Well, funny because they said yesterday they was like A&M has won until they play us tomorrow. And I say it all the time, and people don't like to admit it, but it's the truth. They're one of the most complete, outside of football, athletic programs because they compete in everything else. And right now, truth be told, they are up, I want to say up, in basketball. So, they're one of the most complete programs. And I know back in the day, Alabama State's compete in everything, including football and basketball. So they're one of the most complete programs. And, it's just kind of like normal for them now to just get one award after another because they compete in everything. Like you said, it may not be the most revenue generating, but they still compete in it.
Exactly. And, we're going to see if Alabama State can defend this championship next year. I mean, they are the beasts of the SWAC in volleyball, so these ladies have been dominant. Moving on to basketball on the hardwood, of course, basketball starting up because football ending in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be focusing on basketball, because we know the SWAC has some very competitive teams on the hardwood. So we're going to talk about this week's games for the men. And this week's games for the men starting earlier in the week on Thursday. Our Delta Devils dropped to University of Utah PP 98-63. Alcorn State fell to Vanderbilt 74-67. Brigham Young defeated Alabama A&M 91-60. Our Delta Devils lost a close game to Robert Morris 68-59. Southern Illinois beat UAPB by 30, 78-48. Kels, your Jaguars played valiantly before falling to George Mason University by 4 points, 69-65. So Coach Sean Woods got your Jaguars playing very well early in the season. Texas Southern, after beating Baylor, falls to Evansville in the Jim Maui Invitational 85-63. That had to be a slip up because Texas Southern soundly beat Big 12 member Baylor. But I know every game is different. It's all about execution on that night, but I would not expect Texas Southern to lose to Evansville. Alcorn State lost to Kent State 79-40. Tomorrow's games include Jackson State facing off against Sam Houston State, UAPB against University of Massachusetts, and Prairie View playing against UNC Greensboro on Monday night. So, we're getting started on the hardwood. It's going to be a tough out-of-conference season, but we know things are going to get crunk up once we get close to the conference season. Our SWAC teams are good for upsetting a higher ranked team sometimes throughout the season. We already had that with Texas Southern beating Baylor. I think a few more wins are going to be coming soon. But now to jump over to the women's side. All right. Jackson State defeated University of Central Arkansas. That is Coach Tamika Reed's first career victory as the head coach of the Jackson State Lady Tigers. She's my homegirl. I grew up with her. I'm trying to see if we can get her on as a guest soon, but I know in the season it may be a little tough. But I can't wait for our listeners to hear Tamika Reed's story. I've watched this young woman grow from playing with her in the playgrounds in her backyard, seeing her win championships in high school, playing in college, starting her coaching career, and now it's come fruition coaching a school in her hometown. And I can't wait to see what she does with Jackson State. We had a HBCU game against Tennessee State and Alabama A&M. Alabama A&M defeated Tennessee State 67-57. Oregon State blows out UAPB 89-33. This is, of course, women. Baylor defeated Southern 94-49. Southeastern Louisiana defeats the Alcorn 77-59. Alabama State drops the decision to Sanford 60-51. Lipscomb defeats Alabama A&M 62-58. Oklahoma State beats Prairie View by 20, 70-50. The University of Kansas defeats Alabama A&M 65-54. And Monday's games, your Jaguars will host the University of South Alabama Kels. Coach Reed will visit a school that she's coached at before, University of Louisiana Lafayette, taking her Lady Tigers on the road. Prairie View will host Arlington Baptist. Alabama State will travel to Florence to face North Alabama, and our Delta Devils PP will travel to Clarksville, Tennessee to face Lady Devilettes to face Austin Peay. So, congratulations to the young ladies on the hardwood starting off their seasons. Hopefully we have injury-free seasons, and can't wait to see how our teams compete this year in the SWAC. And that's all we have for SWAC sports news. We ready to jump over to the Meac, Kels?
Yep.
All right. Before we talk about football, thanks to the king and I of the queen, always having my back because I always forget stuff. She always makes sure that I stay on my P's and Q's. The Meac announces this 2019 Hall of Fame class. And just to run down some of these inductees, Dwayne Harper out of South Carolina State. He was one of the most productive defensive backs in Bulldog history before embarking on a 12-year NFL career. Alvin Hollins, FAMU. From 1979 to 2009, Hollins served a variety of roles within the intercollegiate athletics department at FAMU. Primarily as director of sports information, he worked closely with the Meac on numerous occasions, and for his work, Hollins was named the Black College SID of the Year in 1990 and the Meac SID of the Year in 1992. Jerome Mathis, everyone knows that name, out of Hampton. He excelled on both the football field and the track field for Hampton in the 2000s. As a wide receiver for the Pirates, he has a touchdown every 4.4 receptions, a consensus All-American in 2004. He also excelled in the kick return game. On the track, Matthew was a two-time NCAA East Region champion. He was also a two-time All-American track and field champion. Matthew was a Pro Bowler with the Houston Texans, who drafted him in the 4th round of 2005, and he also played for the Washington Redskins. Kyle O'Quinn, Norfolk State. He was a second-team All-Meac honors as a sophomore in 2010 and was back-to-back Meac Defensive Player of the Year, averaging a double-double in each of his last 2 seasons as a Spartan. In that senior campaign, saw O'Quinn average 15 points and 10 rebounds a game. He was selected by the Orlando Magic in the 2nd round of the 2012 NBA Draft. He's also played with the New York Knicks before signing this past season with the Indiana Pacers. Jessica Worsley, Maryland Eastern Shore, a 2017 inductee into the Maryland Eastern Shore Hall of Fame, and the first bowler to be inducted. Worsley is one of the most decorated bowlers in program history. She led the Hawks to their first ever national championship appearance in 2007 and their first title in 2008, which was not just the first Division I national champion in school history, but also from any women's sport at an HBCU. So she's a trailblazer. Congratulations to these Meac Hall of Fame inductees. Thank you for blazing trails for HBCUs. Kels, what do you think about these Meac Hall of Fame inductees?
Always something different. Always, because it's on the other side, of course, not really, as in depth as to, what goes on there as to where I would be more so, in the SWAC.
Exactly.
But, it's always a case. It's always good when you see yourself being inducted into those classes. And sometimes it takes longer than you think. Sometimes you think that you've been cheated, and other times it comes right on time. So, I do. I had this conversation with somebody at work, and he was talking about how he wasn't inducted into his high school football Hall of Fame. And I said, well, do you have money? He started laughing. I said, I think sometimes it has to do with money. Sometimes you got to pay. So if you don't pay, then guess what? You don't get in. So, I think, again, sometimes you think it's too late, and sometimes it's just right on time.
Exactly. So, I just want to say congratulations to these Hall of Famers for the careers that they had. And, hopefully maybe we can reach out to someone of them, get them to be a guest on the Black College Experience so they can talk to us about their HBCU journey. Now, on to the gridiron action in the Meac. And we had a lot of games in this weekend that, had some, I guess you could say, substance as far as to the Meac championship. First, we're going to start first. South Carolina State defeated Savannah State 21-17. South Carolina State won its fourth straight contest as they shut out Savannah State in the second half. Delaware State blows out Virginia Lynchburg. The Hornets, had a rough start to their season. Then they had a little 2-game win streak. But they closed out their season by blowing out Virginia Lynchburg, who has been improving, by the way. The Dragons have been playing hard this year. Shane Smith's pass for 212 yards and 3 touchdowns as Delaware State rolled to the victory. Bryant Kells defeated Howard 56-55. A missed 2-point conversion by Howard in the final minute was the difference as the Bison dropped an offensive shootout to Bryant. Morgan State blows out Norfolk State. Morgan State won its most games since 2015 as G.J. Golat Jr. threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for a fourth in the 44-27 win at Norfolk State Saturday afternoon. We had this game in our pitch, Kells, and none of us picked Morgan State. I thought about it. PP, what happened to your crystal ball, man?
I get what is it? I was looking at the game and I saw Morgan State got just 2 wins, I believe, and I'm like, okay, they done nailed it in for the season.
They beat the Aggies this
year. After they beat A&T, I was like, yeah, they done nailed it in. It's the Meac. That's all you can say.
Yes, indeed. Now, in the rivalry game, which wasn't much of a game, the Aggies blitzed the Eagles, defeating North Carolina Central 45-0, and winning their second straight Meac championship and advanced to its second consecutive and third overall Air Force Celebration Bowl work with a dominant win over rival NC Central. But this Meac championship was only due to Florida A&M losing in the Florida Classic to Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman came up with all the huge plays as the Wildcats won their 8th straight Florida Classic and ended FAMU's championship hopes before 52,000 plus at the annual Florida Classic. Kels, this is Coach Willie Simmons' first year at FAMU, and he had this team competing for a Meac title. Talk to us about what do you think about what he was able to do in his first year in Tallahassee.
At a midpoint, it was going at a good thing, and that's what I was actually banking on. Okay, we're going to have FAMU here in Atlanta, and that's going to be one of the Celebration Bowl contenders. But North Carolina A&T said, "Hey, not so fast." And again, that's what made this season so much better because despite the losses in all of the conferences, so everybody had to depend on somebody either winning or losing.
Right.
And so, as to yesterday, Simmons, he did say, thank you for all the support. Thank you for, this being my first season. He's talking about, how it was and how he looks forward to next season and the support as well. Exactly. But, I think that they, because even not last year before, we looked at where FAMU was and we thought it would be better, and now they're getting better by the year. So I think, it'll be different next year. Somebody even made the question, what about Howard? And I was like, well, Howard was never a contender, So North Carolina A&T has come back in, and they did send word. They was like, are y'all tired of seeing us? They sent the word. So, they didn't pull me into the Meac. They have made me honorary. I've been talking back and forth to the person that's in charge of the Meac page, just having this whole conversation. But I think it's going to be, a great thing, just to see who's going to actually compete against them for a Celebration Bowl.
Right. I mean, the Aggies are a very, very strong team, and whomever from the SWAC represents us is going to have to bring it because North Carolina A&T, early in the season, they were playing like a team possessed, but they had some losses within the conference, and that can happen. That's football. You can't get complacent. Yeah, you can go and beat teams outside of your conference, beat the FBS teams, but then you get in conference, it's a whole new ball game. Someone gonna catch you slipping, and that's what happened with the Aggies. But they were able to still secure the Meac championship thanks to Bethune-Cookman defeating FAMU. I would like to see the Meac have a title game. I would just love to see that, because I think I would have to go look at their record to see if we did put them in divisions. If the Meac did have a title game, who would North Carolina A&T play? Would they play Bethune-Cookman? Would they play FAMU? I think that would be a great way to have the SWAC championship game and the Meac championship game both on the same weekend, and then both on to the Celebration Bowl. But the Aggies get the rest. That's something that the HBCU representative for the SWAC won't be able to say, because Alcorn just had a grueling game against Jackson State. Kels, your Jaguars are going to have a grueling match against Grambling. And whoever's the victor of that game is definitely going to have a slugfest with the Braves, because they're a very physical team. So North Carolina A&T is going to be resting up, waiting for who they're going to play. But, we're going to talk about that a little later if we have time. But jumping over to volleyball, the Meac tournament is ongoing. It's been going on since Friday, and it's going to give you a rundown of the matches. The first match had North Carolina State running through Melanesian Shore 3-2. FAMU defeated Morgan State 3-2. Howard defeated North Carolina Central 3-0. Bethune-Cookman defeated Coppin State 3-2. And now in the semifinals, we have North Carolina A&T beating FAMU 3-1, and then Howard beating the Bethune-Cookman 3-0. And the championship match will be starting tonight at 8 p.m. You can catch that live on ESPN3. That will be North Carolina A&T versus Howard. So if you love volleyball, if you want to see who's going to be the Meac champ in women's volleyball, tune in to ESPNU and watch the game. We need the ratings, y'all. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to check it out as soon as the game gets ready to start, because I want to support my HBCU. So I can't wait till next week. We're going to be discussing who won this game and just congratulating those ladies on a championship well deserved. So now we're ready to jump over to the hardwood in the Meac and talk about some of the games that they've been playing to start their season, because Meac basketball, is very competitive. So, we think we're very competitive also in basketball. The Meac is definitely very competitive in basketball. But to run down some of the games that the Meac has started, first off in the men's, Virginia State beats up on Coppin State 97-40. Gardner-Webb defeats Savannah State 97-77. Howard beats UMass. There we go. Defeats UMass. UMass, they're not quite as strong as they used to be, but they're still a good basketball team. Howard beats them 68-63. Siena knocks off Norfolk State 61-58. All right. Bethune-Cookman loses to Miami by 8, 70-78. Stony Brook defeats Norfolk State 72-65. North Texas defeats Melanesian Shore 68-34. NCCU beats up on Warren Wilson 123-57. All right, and then the women. All right. North Carolina A&T defeats Winston-Salem State 60-56. South Carolina State defeats Charleston Southern 67-58. That's an upset. North Florida defeats FAMU 64-53. Stephen F. Austin defeats Morgan State 69-42. Melanesian Shore beats up on Cheney 88-33. Iowa defeats North Carolina Central 106-39. Mississippi State defeats Coppin State 110-38. Norfolk State beats Navy 65-58. Gone Norfolk State beating up on Navy. So like we said, the Meac is just as competitive in basketball. They get their wins against bigger schools as well. So we're ready to jump over to the SEAC. talk about Spring Hill. They're the SWAC women's champion. They play in the NAA volleyball championships, and they lost to Palm Beach Atlanta University 3-1 in the first round of the South Region NCAA, not NAI, NCAA first round. So congratulations to Spring Hill College having a successful volleyball season comes to an end on the hardwood in the SEAC. Let's see who we got here. Because we know Morehouse is going to have a good team. Morehouse men defeats Shaw University 93-75. Spring Hill defeats University of Mobile 74-73. University of West Georgia defeats Benedict 80-69, and Augusta defeats Payne. And in the women's side, come on. All right, on the women's side, there are no scores rendering. Oh, here we go. In the women's, Delta State also defeated Lane 45-35. Benedict defeated Palm Beach Atlanta University 73-56, and Spring Hill defeated University of Mobile 80-74. We got about 12 minutes left. We still have some more football to talk about independent-wise. Look, in the CIAA, got to talk about this game here. My boy Amir Hall, and Kel was picking at me last night. My boy Amir Hall and the Bowie State Bulldogs upset West Alabama 41-35 in the first round of the Region 2, the Division 2 playoffs. And up next, they have the number 1 seed, Valdosta State. And that's going to be a tough task for the Bulldogs. But, Kels, when you saw that Bowie State upset West Alabama, what did you think?
To say that was the first time in the school history, words really can't express that, because even when you go against that, and like I was laughing because I was like, oh, so he's just going to call us out. He's just going to put us on Front Street. And it's kind of like Manny said, it looks so bad out in public, but I've gone against Southern in public with Prairie View, and we end up winning. So you always hope that you're wrong. But, that says a lot. And I said it last night, and I'll say it again. Deacon Jones Award goes to Amir Hall once again. The kid is something special. He is just a special kid. And it's just so much that he does. And for people that don't watch him in outside of that outside of their own personal conference, he's just something special. And even just listening to him interview and just to see him do that, it just says a lot. So, they have a task, a uphill task with Valdosta, but, you got past that one. So it's not to say that you can't get past this one.
Exactly. So, Valdosta is going to be a tough challenge. They are a very tough team. PP, what are your opinions on Bowie State upsetting West Alabama?
Yeah, if y'all people don't know that Gulf South Conference, they consistently are like one of the better D2 conferences. That's the conference that Delta State is in. So
yeah, we know about them.
They generally get at least on average 4 to 5 teams into the D2 playoffs. So hey, everybody thought that, what is it, when you saw that, West Alabama, everybody just assumed that, history said that HBCUs don't do well in the playoffs.
Except for me. I can claim victory. All right. Tennessee State defeats UT Martin. You and Mokels are the only people who picked Tennessee State. So you trumped me on this, because I was in your ear asking you, what you thought about this game. Tennessee State takes down UT Martin 31-28 in an overtime thriller. And, we all know Tennessee State has had plenty to think about this year, as Christian Abercrombie, injured this year. He is, getting better, and he wants to play football again, Kels. He's not giving up on playing football. So, I wish him well in his recovery. There's a story out in Tennessee and talking about the workouts that he's going through. He says it feels like he's playing football again. And he's saying he's not done with football. So, if he can't come back to play, which I hope he can, I would love to see him stay in the sport, potentially coaching. Talk about what do you think about Tennessee State upsetting, I won't even call it an upset, having the overtime victory over UT Martin?
Well, I've watched Tennessee State plenty of times, and I've watched them go into overtime and upset teams or basically lose or win, by 2 or 3 points. So I've watched them do that on multiple occasions. So that was kind of just like, it was just kind of like a gamble. And Tennessee State is one of those teams. They can either be solid or they can just be like, and they're pretty, they'll have the wavelength of being first, or they'll have the wavelength of being fifth, or they have the wavelength of being second, or they have the wavelength of being like eighth. So however they fall, but I guess it was just that gut feeling like, okay, this time that they actually would, get it.
Right. Now, since Tennessee State did win this game, their record improved to 4-5, and this leads some to think that Coach Rod Reed could be on the hot seat. But they did have 2 games canceled by weather. One game they haven't lost since I can remember. They should be able to count that game against Jackson State as a win because they were going to wax Jackson State in the Southern Heritage Classic. I can't remember who the other game that they had to get canceled, but it's possible they could be sitting at a 6-5 record right now.
I think it was against Hampton.
Hampton, okay. So it's possible they could be sitting at a 6-5 record because Hampton is not a notoriously tough team. Tennessee State played Vanderbilt very tough, and they've been in a lot of games this year, falling, in the last couple of seconds, and are able to secure a victory over a very, very talented UT Martin team who's also been struggling. But this leaves Coach Rod Reed's future in doubt. So, Kels, do you think Coach Reed will get released, or you think he will be allowed to finish out his last year because he wants to honor his commitment to Tennessee State? But Tennessee State hasn't been very dominant lately in the OVC, I'm sorry.
OVC. I don't know. I think that I think he will get to finish out the line. I think so. So,
I hope so too, because his team has faced a lot of turmoil in the past 2 years. Last year you had the kid hitting the coach, you know what I'm saying, had to weather that storm. Then you had the incident with Mr. Abercrombie getting injured. I think he did a fabulous job of keeping that team together when tragedy, or when, I guess you can say, unexpected events happen. So when you have a guy who is able to keep his team together, keep his young men focused, let him finish out his journey. But unfortunately, it's not up to us. It'll be up to the athletic director, A.D. Phillips, for Tennessee State. So I guess we'll see what happens with Coach Rod Reed if he's able to continue in his duties as a Tennessee State football coach. Now, in other independent news, Hampton defeats St. Andrews in football. Now, the other playoff game that we picked was Langston versus Kansas Wesleyan. And when we added this game to our picks, Kels and PP, I posted the schedule and results for Kansas Wesleyan. The Coyotes sat at 11-0. Score. They average. I'm just look at it. They average 50 points a game. I'm talking about they have 3 games where they scored over 70. 1 game where they scored over 80, and Langston held them to 15 points, losing the game 15-9. Langston has a squad. We gotta watch out for them because Kansas Wesleyan is a powerhouse, and Langston hung in with them. Kels, what are your thoughts?
Langston is one of my favorite independent schools because I do feel like they have the most competition. They have the most competitive edge when it comes to competing. Now, they don't get a lot of buzz. A lot of people don't talk about them. A lot of people don't bring a lot of exposure to their program. But I think, my favorite thing to go to, lights hadn't went out or the weather hadn't did anything when they were playing Southern, we don't know what the game would have been like.
Right.
So that's my favorite go-to.
And you all had not unleashed Skelton either. So that game was highly contested, and it could have went either way. So we got about 3 minutes left. Some other sports news we want to talk about. I want to congratulate Wiley College. They won the women's volleyball Red River title. Have some news out of the GCAC. Xavier finds gold again. They are the GCAC volleyball champs. Congratulations to Xavier. I mean, they've been dominant in women's volleyball. I would love for them to play against, put like this here, Shaw. And I forgot to say this, Shaw also lost in their playoff game. You have Spring Hill College, Alabama State, Xavier, Shaw. And then, our good buddy Coach Goree over at Kentucky State, they're a little powerhouse house. I would love to see some of the top volleyball HBCU programs come together and have like a big tournament. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be great to see. Who knows? Maybe we make Black Card this spring. Maybe we need to see if we can find a sponsor for that. I think that would be good to see all of these awesome women's volleyball squads come together and play each other and just, have a good old volleyball matchups, dream matchups, we could say, at the HBCU level, because Xavier has been dominant. Shaw has been dominant. Kentucky State has been dominant. Spring Hill jumps up this year in the SWAC after Coach Goree comes in from Shaw. Then in the SWAC, Alabama State has been dominant. Then Alabama A&M jumps up this year and says, we can be just as good and have that all SWAC Alabama Meac SWAC championship game. Then in the Meac, you got Howard on the cusp of possibly winning a Meac championship in women's volleyball. I just think that would be something good to see. What do you think about that, Kels?
I agree, and I know how you feel about women's sports. So I think it would be I think it would be a great thing. Hashtag the future is female.
Right. And speaking of you saying the future is female, guess who the Cleveland Browns want to interview potentially for their head coaching position?
Well, I know that they said that was just a rumor of interviewing Condoleezza Rice, but how much worse can you get? Literally, how much worse can you get?
Here's the thing: there are women coaching football now that I think potentially have the X and O knowledge to make crucial decisions that can lead to victory. I would love to see a woman coaching a men's football program, to see how she could fare in that environment. I would love to see it. I'm not against it. I just feel like if you have the ability to coach, if you have the ability to learn the game, you should have the ability to reach the highest level. Now, Condoleezza Rice has never coached football before. I feel like if she did want to become a coach, I feel like she would have to start where these other women have started, learning the game and working your way up. You ran the country, yes. You do deserve a chance to potentially run a football program, but you shouldn't leapfrog over these women who've been working their butts off, trailblazing into coaching in men's sports. Look at Becky Hammond in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? She has worked her way up, and I grew up watching her play ball. We are almost out of time. So, Kels, go ahead and give us our parting shot here. I know we kind of got off topic with HBCU sports, talking about Condoleezza and Cleveland Browns. I do think she will be a good consultant, and if she learns enough about football, man, let her coach.
All right, so I am heading to New Orleans on Thursday. So excited again for this week to see what's going to happen between Southern University and Grambling. I will be tied up all weekend, so if anybody's looking for me, I'll be tied up from Thursday until I leave on Sunday.
Yes, indeed. So next week, by this time, we will be talking about who has won the Bayou Classic, and who will be going on to face Alcorn on their home field for a chance to win the SWAC championship and for a chance to play for a Black College national title and a Celebration Bowl. I'm Derek Thomas in Baton Rouge, and we have in Atlanta.
It's Keisha Kelly in Atlanta.
And my line brother PP in the Delta. This has been the Black College Experience. We are out of here.
Good night.
Three, 4.